When asked about her relationship to the Whitney, Trisha once commented, "The Whitney? I was born there. Although it may not strictly be accurate, I love the idea." In fact, Trisha was born and raised in Aberdeen, Washington. She graduated from Mills College in 1958, studied with Anna Halpern, taught at Reed College in Portland before moving to New York in '61. Instantly immersed in what was to become the postmodern phenomena of Judson Dance Theater, her movement investigations found the extraordinary in the everyday and challenged existing perceptions of what constituted performance. In 1970, Trisha formed her company and made groundbreaking site-specific works created in and around and hovering over the streets and buildings of Soho. The first of many collaborations with Robert Rauschenberg, Glacial Decoy, premiered in 1979, followed by Set and Reset in 1983. Brown has created nearly 100 dance works since 1961, including several operas. Increasingly recognized as a visual artist, her astonishing drawings, many made by grasping graphite with her toes, I still don't know how she does it, have been exhibited in group and solo exhibitions around the world, including Documenta 12 in Kassel, the last Documenta in Germany, the Year of Trisha, the celebration of Brown's entire body of work at the Walker Art Center, and recently I just saw, which is on view now, if you haven't seen it, we're seeing Dance Draw at the Institute of Contemporary Art in Boston. Two of the most moving and gratifying experience I have ever had with dance and performance were thanks to Trisha and her company. The first occurred at the Addison Gallery when her dancers worked in residency with high school dance students, most of whom I'm sure did not even know her work. Watching the students reconsider what dance is, what it could be, and in fact rediscovering movement in their bodies themselves was inspiring. For example, the floor of the forest, which we recreated, this wonderful grid of rope and clothing. The dancers were suspended in this incredible parallel grid, trying on the articles of clothing. And it was just an extraordinary revelation for the students and for the audience, not to mention me. And I have to say, thanks to Trisha, we discovered that the museum, yet again, could be a living and breathing entity, relevant to daily life. Trisha was indeed acting in what Rauschenberg termed the space between art and life. The second event, one of the most memorable I've ever experienced in my 8 years, I have to say, and nerve-wracking as director of the Whitney, was seeing Trisha's company perform in and on the museum on the occasion of the company's 40th anniversary. The Whitney presented Off the Wall 7 works by Trisha Brown. This exhibition was an opportunity to examine Trisha's achievement within a larger context of actions, performative instructions, and installations. Performing inside the galleries, Brown's company made the museum architecture come alive as dancers moved through the space, on the walls, and on the floor. The meaning and the purpose of an art museum, and I might add, of being an art museum director, was thrown in bright and sharp relief. We all watched in amazement with the deepest form of satisfaction that comes from seeing art which had been choreographed 4 decades earlier being made anew. The pièce de résistance, however, was a man walking down the side of a building, performed on 75th Street, side of the Whitney's Breuer building. Elizabeth Streb and Stephen Petronio each took turns confronting the abyss, and the abyss it was, defying gravity, and I might add death, or at least it felt that way, daring themselves as dancers and human beings to walk face down at a 90-degree angle to the side of the building, strapped in a mountaineering harness, as we stood below, staring up, holding our breaths, and praying. And I have to say, never was such attention and rapt attention paid to every little nuance of the movement. And I have to say, Trisha is a musician, a magician, a teacher who's not only influenced generations of dancers, but visual artists, musicians, filmmakers, writers. Her influence has pervaded our culture. It is said that real courage is displayed by those who are afraid to go, but go nonetheless. I am immensely honored to join you in celebrating a visionary choreographer, dancer, intermediate artist, as well as a generous and gentle, yet demanding and single-minded individual who has indeed made, as stated in the provisions of the will of Lillian Gish, an outstanding contribution to the beauty of the world and to mankind's enjoyment and understanding of life. Trisha, it takes real courage to reimagine an art form. As Matisse once said, The effort to see things without distortion takes something like courage, and this courage is essential to the artist who has to look at everything as though seeing it for the first time. Thank you, Trisha, for your courage and for renewing our vision.
Good evening. I'm Vishaka Desai. You just heard my name being mentioned. I stand before you not so much as the president of the Asia Society, not even as the jury member, but really as a recovering dancer and as a one-time museum person. And the reason I'm here is to tell you that Adam just told you why we decided Trisha was Our Lady for this night. And that is because many of us came from many different disciplines. And we fought for an artist, for a dancer, for a choreographer, and we finally said, guess what? She's got it all. So this is the right way to do it. So we are delighted that you are our choice for this evening. I should also tell you that actually, I had never met Trisha Brown, except on stage. I was a dancer in a classical Indian tradition, and I first saw, my very first experience of modern dance was with Martha Graham in India when I was 13 years old, and I was doing solo performances in this very formal dance style. Then I come to the United States, and my very first experience of Trisha Brown was in the early 70s in New York. And I understood that a simple gesture can actually pack an emotional well in a way that I had never thought about before. It's exactly what Adam said, and that is that you made me think of a gesture in a new way. You made me realize that dance was not just about formal training, it was that, and it was about seeing art in an everyday gesture, and I have never forgotten that. And it is because of that that I'm thrilled that we all fought really hard to make sure that you were the Lillian and Dorothy Gish Prize winner for this evening. And I'm thrilled to be here with you to say that it's an honor to have met you finally, not just on the stage, but in person. And it is my great honor now to tell you that all of you who are Trisha Brown fans and followers, you have a very special treat in front of you because we now have an opportunity to actually see one of Trisha Brown's creation.